StitchyTube. Settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hello. Saturday, and I'm stitching a StitchyTube. Doing a StitchyTube. Things are crazy around here. I'm trying to get ready for the Galleria show, so I've been busy working and coming up with lots of great ideas for the show. But I'm having a great time. I'm just so thankful to be back in the needlework industry and this group of people, wonderful stitchers and designers. I especially have been thinking about it lately because when I worked at the bookstore on campus, the last couple weeks would have been particularly horrendous. Very busy, very hard work. My job was to put out fires, and so it would have been a day full of crying students, yelling students, confused students, angry mothers, you name it. So I was very glad to be doing this and not that. But I am glad to be here today. This is StitchyTube number 26, lucky number 26. I'm going to start, as always, with a few questions that came in after the last video. And I think a couple of these might have been from a few videos ago. I'm not really sure. But these were questions people have had. Michelle wanted to know, why are Hawk Run charts so expensive? And actually, I'll show this one now as long as we're talking about Hawk Run. Hawk Run hollow charts are Kathy Barrett pieces under Carriage House Samplings. I stock a number of different titles of the Hawk Run series in my shop. I'll put a link below to my website. But they're really great pieces, super fun to stitch. I'm working on one right now, and there's block number 1 all done, and then I've worked on getting borders in for a few of the others. It's been really fun to stitch. But anyway, these came out, starting, I don't know, a number of years ago. Of course, a number of years ago. And the charts are anywhere from $32 to $36, I think. So people, it's a good question as to ask why it's so expensive. There are a couple of reasons. Each square is 90 by 90 stitches, 90 stitches by 90 stitches. And so it's 360 this way and 270 going side to side. And every square in this pattern comes on its own page with a key. So there are 12 pages of charts, plus there's, I don't have it with me easily, but it's a big fold out like map size chart. So for placement and things, I think, to kind of help you out with that. So there's that, and then the covers. Now, if you treated these as 12 different designs at $36, that's $3 per design. And if you think about some other series, a lot of times people will do series in order to encourage people to buy multiple charts. Those charts may run $6 to $8 or $9 a piece for a series of 12. And if you do a series of 12 at $6 a piece, that's more money. What's 6 times 12? $72. $72 is what you'd be paying for 12 pieces this size. And so $36, even though it seems like a big chunk at the beginning, is actually kind of a bargain for as much stitching as you get out of it. When I price charts myself, and designers have different ways of pricing their charts. And it's always kind of a trick because you're like, to me, I'm like, I don't have a flat, like, this is what my chart is. Some designers do that. Like Prairie Schooler, it was always just a flat, this is what they're all this. And I kind of try to go by like how much work went into designing it and how big is it and how much stitching is somebody going to get out of it. So the smaller pieces obviously are going to be less expensive charts. But so the Hawk Run pieces, to me, even though they're $36, it's kind of a bargain because you'll stitch on it forever. But that is a good question. Andrea wanted to know, how do you introduce a new cat to the household if you're getting a new cat? That's a hard thing to do sometimes. People contact me regularly where they're like, we're losing one of our cats, or we have lost a cat and we're thinking about getting another one. How do we go about doing that in the least traumatic way? It can be trouble if you have established cats in the household that they're used to the way things are. Cats do not like change. They like things steady, steady, steady. And so bringing a new cat into the household, especially another adult, can be very tricky. And the ASPCA actually has a bunch of really good recommendations for just pet behavior in general on their website. The way that is often most effective, let's say if you were bringing in another adult in, would be to close that adult into a room with its own litter box and let them just kind of be aware that they're around the, that you're in here and I'm in here and we're separated by this door, and they'll sniff each other under the door and they'll stick their paws under, and just gradually introduce them that way. Maybe, just do some supervised playtime and just see how it goes. Cats are all different. So some of them are going to just be like, whatever. Some of them are going to be, woohoo, another friend. And some of them are not going to be happy. Kittens can be a much easier introduction if you're going to bring another cat in. And kittens really aren't a lot of work, but they're so much fun and they're so cute. And, your local shelter probably in the summertime has way more kittens than they can find homes for. So don't necessarily feel like, oh, well, I have to adopt an older cat because no one will want those. People want both. People want adults and some people want kittens. And so it hasn't been my experience that people come in and they specifically only want kittens. There are a lot of people that get adults. And if a cat has a deformity or an old injury, those cats get adopted quickly because people who adopt from shelters typically have really soft hearts. And so if a cat is missing an eye, it goes home pretty quick. But if you get a kitten, your established cat or cats in the household are going to teach that kitten where its place is, and there will be less of a kerfluffle that way. But I would recommend the ASPCA, and of course your local shelter should be able to give you a lot of really good advice too, or your vet. Jerry, in a similar question, Jerry wanted to know if I've ever found pet hair in an old sampler, and I have not, but I'm going to see if I can find a picture to put here of a manuscript that I saw online once with cat footprints on it, where a cat had walked through the ink and then over a monastery, like a monk's manuscript. Super hilarious to me. They've been around, causing trouble forever. But no, I haven't. I haven't. Not that I know of. Darla and a number of other people wanted to know why I had an avocado in my craft room last week. I used it for scale to show it was just a joke. I brought it in here to do the joke. So it was a plant. And when I was done shooting my video, the avocado went back to the kitchen. It was just a joke. And I think you all knew that. And then the other question that I had, a few people asked, they said, ooh, what's that quilt on your chair? And I've got it flipped inside out right now. But I'll show it to you. A friend recently gave this to me. And there it is. Isn't it pretty? I love the stars and the colors and everything. It's very, very pretty. And it's a nice lap quilt. And this friend said that she believes quilts have healing properties. So she was hoping that it would help me with my fibromyalgia. And I think it has. It's so pretty. It certainly brings me joy. And it certainly makes me happy to think of her and her kindness and her talent for sure. So those were my questions. I like to mix things up. I'm gonna start the regular part of the video with haul. I don't think I really have any haul this week, but I've been getting, my UPS man has been coming. I got some boxes this week that are literally 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet and heavy. And yesterday he dropped something on the step, and they always knock, dong, 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 and then they're already back. They don't wait for a signature. They're gone. And so I went out on the step and picked the package up, and I said, thank you. And he goes, because I'm sure he's sick of bringing me boxes. But I'm getting ready for market. What do? I have to order things, and so I have things for sale. So I've been buying lots of stuff, but it's not for me. But I did today, and I'm only going to show you two. I got a couple of new display pieces for the show. I like to have a pretty booth, like a cute booth that's like just stepping into a cool place. And so, I hadn't gotten any new display pieces for a while because I don't have my store anymore. And I do the Nashville show and I bring some things to this, but this is like setting up a shop. I mean, this shop is going to be packed with fabrics and trims and embellishments and scissors and charts and kits and lots of stuff. I found this at Hobby Lobby today. And I think it is so, so stinking cute. And this is going to hold my trims. And I've been doing some really cute, I'll pull a few out. I've been doing some really cute packaging with like the jingle bells and things that I sell. And so these will fit perfectly in there for display. So I'm doing those. That's a little display piece I bought today. This week, things at Hobby Lobby that are like this are half off. So this was $15. And they only had one red one. They had a couple that were, I think, like white or cream. But this, I'll get a lot of use out of that. I don't know what this would have been. If this would have been like a tool, you know, caddy, or like a chicken feeder. I don't know. I mean, I recognize the shape, but I think that's really cool. And it's very heavy duty. And then I've been wanting to get something to display the little things that I'm bringing. I'm taking some things that are like, you know, pin cushions and smalls and small stuff like that. And sometimes people steal things and I don't want anybody to steal my models. So I've been trying to think of a way to display these things in a way that they look cute and that people can examine them, but that it would be hard to make off with one. And so I found this. This was on sale today too. Now I think I did pay $40 for this. And it's, you know, it's really cute. So it'll sit on top of a table and you can open the lid and ooh, it smells kind of good in there. So, and this is plastic and it's got protective seal on it. So I may end up, I don't know if I need the plastic. I may just take those out of there. I think you could put glass in, but I want people to be able to see them. And this will get scratched anyway. But what I'm going to do is cut a piece of cardboard to fit in the bottom, or a foam core, and then stretch batting and a cute fabric over the top of it so that it's, you know, kind of padded and cute in the bottom. And I might try to like make some kind of cushioned where I put buttons in and then sew them through to pull down on the batting. And then I'll actually like safety pin the pieces to that fabric. So if you went to go pick it up, it's going to be like, oh, that's not going to come up. So don't use that for your advantage. Don't unpin my things. So I did get that. I am going to put I got this too. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. It was also at Hobby Lobby this week. Ours has already run out of these. It was in with the fall stuff. And it's a little truck with this little thing. And I think it would be a cute, like, pin cushion or small. And then you could stuff this with, you know, dried flowers or candy or whatever. I think it's really, really cute. It was $24.99, but it was 40% off. And my son or my husband said, hey, the front light is bent. Wabi sabi. It's perfectly imperfect. Just like a truck would be, you know. I could fix it, but I don't want to. I want it to be wonky. But anyway, this week I had to get a new price gun. When I had the shelter job, I took my old price gun to the shelter and we used it there, and it belongs to them now. That's totally fine. And so I was like, oh, I need a price gun, because the consumer shows you have to put prices on things, whereas at the wholesale shows you don't, because people are buying things wholesale and they'll put their own price tag on them. So I looked online and I found a price gun. I don't remember if it was on eBay or Amazon. And it was like $20 and it came with, let's say, 2,000 labels. And I was like, $20, what a good deal. And I bought it. And I used the first roll, and I kind of went through it fast because they're kind of small rolls. And then I tried to thread it to put a new roll on. And I couldn't quite get it. So then I looked up a couple videos on YouTube, and I tried to thread it, and I tried to thread it, and I tried to thread it. And then a couple pieces fell off of it. And I was like, stupid, stupid Teresa. So I bought the same price gun that I used to have, which is the Monarch. It's $50. I should have just bought the name brand in the first place. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this old one. I think I'll just keep it as a backup in case I can figure it out again or whatever. But so I have a lot of pricing to do this week. So this is haul. It's not very exciting haul, but I got this on Amazon. And it's cheaper than, if I would have gone to buy it in town somewhere, it probably would have been $75 or $85. But these are very good price guns, and the rolls are really big, so it'll last me a long time, because I'm going to need to put lots of prices on things. Right, Grumpy? Right, Grumpy? So that's my haul for the week, I guess. Okay, so we had a drawing last time, and the winner of the Norman Rockwell plate of the man sewing with the kitten, the winner is Darla Beckerson. And the question was, what song do you sing the wrong lyrics to, and what is it? And this is one that we sing too, where it's Later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire. She and her husband sing, later on, we'll perspire as we dream by the fire. And I like that one too. I forgot to mention a couple of my favorite mixed up songs last time. One of them goes way back to the 70s. My brother was, he was a really cute, rambunctious little boy. And Hall & Oates have that song, Rich Girl. You're a rich girl, and you've gone too far, that one. And so the line is, you can rely on the old man's money. And you can rely on the old man's money, meaning you just get handouts from your dad. But my brother, who was probably 4 or 5 at the time, sang it like this. Give me 5 on the old fat 40. Give me 5 on the old fat 40. And then the other one, we had this neighbor kid that my son Graham used to play with, and he would come over sometimes. And I don't remember. I think we were going to Best Buy in the car, and we were listening to the radio, and the song Eye of the Tiger came on, from Rocky. And so it goes, Eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, right? The thrill of the fight. So Aaron from the back seat sings his way, and we all go, wait a minute, what? And he goes, Eye of the tiger, it's a 3-legged fight. He thought it was a 3-legged fight. I don't know what that is, but we laughed forever, and that's how we still sing it. So congratulations to Darla. Go ahead and send me an email. My email address is down below with your address, and I'll send you your plate. Congratulaciones. And then so we've got another drawing this time. And last time, I was waiting for this to come in, and I knew that if it came in, I would give it away, but if my other one didn't come in. Anyway, last time I showed you a book that I got on eBay for really cheap. It's a book that goes for really expensive, but I found one for $20. I found 2 for $20, and I bought one for one of you. And it's this book, 7 Historical Samplers, the Chester County Collection. It's got all of these sampler charts in it. So I got it for you. I got it for one of you. So that's the prize this time. That's a pretty cool prize, I think. And so if you want to win that, I'm in the fall mood. And the Halloween store that comes to town every year has set up shop. So they're ready for Halloween too. Really, when you think about it, we're like, 9 weeks away from Halloween? That's not that far. Tell me what your favorite Halloween costume was ever that you dressed up as. I think one of my favorite ones was Ed Grimley. Do you remember Ed Grimley from Saturday Night Live? What was his name? Martin Short played him, and he had like a big point on his head. I'll put a picture of Ed Grimley here. I don't have a picture of me in that costume, but I wore it to high school. I wore it all day, and so I had my pants pulled way up, and I had my hair all spiked like this, and I said, "Oh, I'm a slay," and that was super fun. I loved to dress up for Halloween, and this one year I dressed up as the Joker. Jack Nicholson's Joker from Batman. And so I had a big purple hat, and my face was painted white with red lips, Joker lips, and a purple coat and like mustard colored pants. And that was in college even. And I went to the food place, like the cafe or whatever, and I got my food and I sat down, and a guy leans over and goes, "Hey, are you supposed to be Prince?" No. So, okay, so your favorite Halloween costume, and you will be entered for the 7 Historical Samplers one book. I get the other one. Okay, list of 10. I had an idea earlier this week. I was like, there's so many things that happen for stitchers where it's like, we need a word for that. And they're common experiences that we all share. When I tell you these 10, you're going to be like, of course that's happened to me. But we don't have words for these things. Sometimes they're like, oh, Eskimos have 19 words for snow. There are all these words that we should have. Now, I don't have ideas what these words could be, but these are ideas with stitching that there should be a word for that. Number 1, there should be a word for the confusing gap when a chart splits onto 2 separate pages. There's like that little gray area that says over, it's like the overlap. But sometimes you're like, and you're looking between, and you're like, is it this? Is it this? And it makes you confused, and sometimes you make mistakes because you put things in the wrong place. I feel like that gap, that we need a name for that gap in a chart. The second thing we need a name for is the little white line with a little bit of blood in it that you get when you're stitching and you completely jam a needle under your fingernail like real quick and you pull it out and then there's like that white line that gets left there and it's totally stings. There should be a word for that angry knot that you get when you're stitching that will not come out, period. Like it's just like, I'm a knot and I exist now and you can cut me out, but you will throw me away and I forever will be this knot. So that angry little knot needs a name. I hate those. And I mean, you got to let your thread dangle sometimes, but I feel like sometimes it's just, you get angry thread and it just needs to be in a knot. There should be a word for the fuzzy end that your thread gets when you're stitching. You know, like you're stitching and you've got the end, you know, that's over and it gets kind of more frayed and frayed as you go on. And then you accidentally pull your needle off of it and you've got this end of a thread that's like all the fibers are like spread apart as far as possible and you lick it and you try to thread it and you lick it and you try to thread it and eventually you just have to cut it and then thread it and now it's shorter. So that fuzzy end needs a name. Okay, there should be a name for that twinge feeling you get when you realize that you made a counting mistake. And I know that you all have been there where you're stitching along, and then you go to put something in and you're like, oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to count it again. And you kind of almost go like through the stages of grief in a way where you're like, okay, no, I'm just counting it wrong. And you think I'm going to just do it again. You kind of deny it. And then you like feel anger and you feel frustration and you feel sorrow. And then you're like, oh, you know, how much of this could I leave in? And you do kind of that internal bargaining with yourself. Like if you leave it in, you could get it done faster. And if you work it in, and then there's like resignation where you're like, okay, this is all going to have to come out. Or resignation, I'm going to leave it and I'm going to work it in, which is what I do. Or resignation as in, I'm putting this in a drawer and I wish to never see it again. But that initial twinge, and it's not really panic, but it is in a way it is a little bit panic. Number 6, when you go to there should be a word for that whole experience of when you go to a store and you make a special trip to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or wherever because you need DMC 3776. And they can have 359 of the 360 colors, but they don't have the one you need. There should be a word for that. Number 7, there should be a word for the piece of fabric that you get with a kit that you know you will never use for anything. You know, like you'll always hear stitchers, you're like, oh, where'd you get that pattern? It's real cute. Well, I got it at Hobby Lobby. It came with, you know, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use this other thing. I don't know. It's kind of like, you know, lost socks or whatever. Like, what happens to all those pieces of fabric that we don't use from those kits? So many people don't use the fabric that comes with them. And I think sometimes it's like, well, I want to put it on a different color, or I like linen, or I don't like linen, or I like a different count of fabric. Sometimes it just comes with kind of cheap fabric where they're like, look, let's slap this together. These stupid stitchers will stitch anything. But those leftover fabrics, there should be a word for that. Number 8, there should be a word for the little like lift in your spirit you get when you're stitching. And like I had it last night because I finished something last night. You get towards the end of a piece and you're like, okay, this is my last length. Like I have like 20 stitches left, and you're stitching and you feel your heart starts going, hung, 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 hung. You like kind of get excited. Oh, it's almost done. There should be the word for that, like feeling that elation that like you put the last stitch in. And I always say something like, well, I'm done. That's it. I don't know. There should be a name for that because it feels really good. There should be a name for when you buy a second chart. You buy another chart of a chart that you already have. So now you have 2 charts, or now you have 3 charts of the same thing. There's a piece of mine. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to stand up. Okay, so I have a sampler, and I have to reframe the model of the stitched piece. So this is the antique, But this one is called, I think I just call it MD's Sampler, and it's on my site. Just look below. You'll find it in the reproduction samplers area. It's a pretty little sampler I got. I love that it's got this like burny looking stain. Today Harrison was like, have you ever burned a hole in fabric? And I was like, well, no. And he said, like, with a match? And I was like, no, but now I'm intrigued. But anyway, I don't know what happened here. I didn't pay very much for this, but I think it's really cool. And I thought when I bought it, I was like, gosh, this really looks like something Barb and Alma from Blackbird Designs would stitch. And so I've taken this one to market a good number of times. And they bought it the first year I took it. They bought it the first year that I took it to market. And then every time since then, when they come to my booth, they try to buy it again. And I'm like, you guys, you have that chart. You already bought that chart like 8 years ago. But I don't know. I don't know that I have purchased a chart that I already have. I used to have customers come in with fancy lists. Like one woman had a little black book and she had put pages in that folded down, you know, like she had to tape an extra piece in. And so she would have by designer everything she had so she didn't repurchase something. And then some people have apps on their phones and things like that. I don't. For the most part, it's been pretty rare that I have repurchased something that I already had. I maybe have done it 3 times. I can only really think of one, and it was a Blackbird Designs piece this last year. It was one of their loose feathers with the birds on it. I bought one from Jen, and then I bought it again from Jen, and neither one of us remembered that I had it. Okay, owning two of the same chart. That was number 9. Number 10 is there should be a name for the reason that a piece looks better in person than it does as a photograph on the front of a chart. And even the people that really have fantastic printing and photography on the fronts of their charts, when you go to a market or you go to a shop and you see it in person, you're always like, oh, and everybody says, well, the picture just doesn't do it justice. The picture doesn't do it justice. You'd be amazed if you saw it in person because the picture just doesn't do it justice. The picture never does it justice. There's never a time where you're like, oh, you know, that I saw the model and the picture on that chart really does do justice to the piece. Nobody ever says that because it never does. And I think it's because of the way light hits thread. There's like this sheen to it and like this depth, even though stitches aren't deep. There's texture there, and I think you don't really get that when you're looking at a 2-dimensional picture. Can I help you? Hey, you and you. Be nice. Fitz has been a real pain in the butt this week. Okay, so that's my list of 10. And maybe you have things too that you can think of. Maybe you want to add them below what you think that we need a word for in stitching. All right, what am I all into this week? First thing is buying name brand. And I already talked to you about my pricing gun. Some things you really should just buy a better brand. I think sometimes it's okay to buy generic or like store brand things, like beans. If I'm going to buy beans for chili, I haven't really found a marked difference between, you know, the ones that are 4 cents more. You know what I mean? I think they're pretty similar. I think you should buy good bacon. I think you should buy good hot dogs and good cheese. I haven't had great luck with non-Ziploc brand baggies for some reason. I bought some. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy the store brand. This was like last year. I couldn't close one of those things. Name brand shoes. And you may disagree with me. These are just things that I just think sometimes you want to buy a name brand something. So anyway, those are some. So I should have brought a name brand pricing gun. So that's one thing that I'm into is just knowing things that it's like, okay, it's worth, you know, the quality to get this other thing. I'm all into Spotify. Harrison set it up for me, and it's kind of like Pandora, where they have different stations you listen to for free. He put it on my computer, and so I've been listening to like a jazz station that's kind of like got a fall vibe to it, and it's really nice. And I just put it on. You have to listen to commercials once in a while, just like you're listening to the radio. But I've been doing a lot of ironing because I'm getting ready for this market. And so it's kind of nice just to listen to some music, and the cats love it. They love soft jazz. They're totally into that. If they could do like the polite jazz clap after a solo, they totally would. But you can make your own stations. You can find stations where like I listened to one that was like coffee shop, like that was the theme, and so it was kind of those indie rock songs that are kind of good that you don't really know who's singing. I'm all into crazy salad with fruit. I'm trying to eat whole foods. I'm trying to eat more ingredient-based meals. And so one of the things that I've come up with around the house here, and Harrison and I, and Steve too, have been eating salads where I go get like the mixed greens, like the big bucket of greens, and then I buy a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables to go in them. So I've been getting like those English cucumbers that the skin is really delicate, colored peppers like bell peppers, apples, kiwi, berries of different kinds like strawberries and blueberries and raspberries. What else do we put in there? I don't like cheese in a salad. Feta cheese is okay, but other cheeses, like grated orange cheese, I don't need that in a salad. Oh, and I do pecans, and then some kind of like a berry vinaigrette. I had a blackberry dressing that I got up at Whole Foods in Jackson, and that's gone now, and I can't get it here. But I've got a raspberry walnut vinaigrette that I think I'll use too. But it's really delicious. And I think if you would have asked me like 5 years ago, do you like salads with like lettuce salads with fruit on it? I would have been like, no. Oh, and bacon. We put a little, just a actual bacon we've cooked and then cut it into little pieces. So good. So delicious. And it feels like it's very filling. There's a lot of roughage, a lot of color. So we're all into those crazy salads. I'm all into small improvements. For the last 5 years, I was essentially just gone. I worked jobs with long hours, or I wasn't feeling well, or I was depressed. And so a lot of stuff around the house just kind of accumulated. And, it's like things didn't get put away, or, things would just get messy, or things just, to get them out of the way, just things all got thrown into a box. And so every time I go into a room, not every time, but what I'm trying to do is be mindful when I go into a room. And before I leave the room to walk somewhere, I look, is there anything in here that belongs in another room? And I take it there. And so slowly things are clearing off, but then they're filling back up with boxes for the show. But it's getting better. And it's amazing how much lighter you feel when you can walk into a room and everything is tidy. And I think part of it is we don't always get rid of things that we don't need anymore. That you're like, either I paid good money for this, or I might have a use for this someday. Or, sometimes it's just like you don't have a place to put things where it's like, well, I don't, where does this go? We don't have a ton of closet space. So some of it's just finding places for things to go. Or another thing that I'm all into is a donations box. So what I'm doing now is the boxes that I get stuff in, I find one and I put it by the door. And anytime I come across something that I'm like, we don't need this anymore, we don't use this anymore, whatever, it goes in the box. And when the box is full, I take it to the thrift store. And that's really liberating too, to just not be weighed down by stuff that's not necessary, not useful, not enjoyed. They say like you should only have things that are useful and that are, what is it? Only keep things that are useful or enjoyable, or I don't know, or delicious. Another thing that I'm all into, this is the last thing I'm all into. I watched a number of videos from Bah-nah-mah-nee magazine. They have a YouTube channel, and I'll put their channel below. Let me highlight that so I make sure to do that. But they have like a really kind of hip young staff of cooks, and they have some different shows that these younger people put together. Brad Leone, and then there's Claire. I don't know her last name. They have channels, and they're both super enjoyable to watch. Claire has videos where she tries to make homemade versions of grocery store foods. So like she has a video on how to make homemade Skittles. And it worked after much trial and error. And people said they were actually kind of good. But she was like, I never need to make those again. It was horribly putsy work. Brad has a show called It's Alive. And he's like this Jersey guy, and he's like really cool and funny and like nice. And he's just got a really good attitude. And so his channel, he kind of does things that are like with yeasts or with fermenting, or he goes crab fishing. So in some way there's like an alive element to what he's doing. And so that's a really fun show to watch. So I'll put a link to their channel below. And as always, that's what I'm all into this week. Everybody says says they sing the StitchyTube song, but nobody sings That's What I'm All Into this week. And really, I like it better. But you do you. All right, I did a little stitching this week, even though I've been doing lots and lots of just working. I'm trying to take it easy. What I did, so last weekend, I made a video on Saturday. And then Sunday morning, I got up and I shot a Hang With Me video, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I had like 65 or 70 orders that I wanted to get packed on Sunday so I could drop them off on Monday. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stay up and knock this out. I felt great. And I felt great. I felt great on Sunday. And I stayed up till 3 a.m. packing orders. And I got them all done. And then the next 2.5 days were terrible. And I felt tired and I felt achy. And I need to learn to pace myself. And it's really hard because it's not my way. I guess I thought I could fudge it, but I guess I can't. But I did get some stitching done, and some of it, I showed you the, let me put this here. I showed you the hawk run piece, and this is what I did on the Stitch With Me videos. I did some of the borders, and I did finish that whole square, and I love the little snake there. Super cute. That's a fun piece to do. I'm super enjoying it. I would highly recommend it. She's got one, she's got an autumn one, a Halloween one, the Village of Hawk Run, the Houses of Hawk Run. There's a Christmas at Hawk Run, a Shores of Hawk Run. I think there's like a Seasons of Hawk Run. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them. I've got some on my website. I did a little stitching this last week on this piece. This is a Hands Across the Sea sampler. Marianne Bourne, 1791. I love the sampler. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love every part of it. I love every part. The birds are so cute. The border is really cool. The lawn here with all the animals and things is cool. The skep knocks me right out. It's really, really cool. So I'll show you where I got quite a bit done the other day because I just was so tired. And so I did a lot of this. And I'm just stitching it in DMC. I'm stitching it in DMC and it's great. That's how I need to say that. It's really cute, really fun. The picture does not do it justice. The screen does not do it justice. It's amazing. Love it. I don't carry those yet. I would like to at some point. We'll see when I get back from market. Okay, so this was this is what I'm going to work on maybe yet today. I'm trying to get a few UFOs finished for the show, in time for the show, so I can take them as models. So I had a few where I was like, you know what, if I just knock that out, I can, go get a frame quick at Neblets and have it as a model. So this one is Lottie Da's, I think it's called If All Our Troubles, it's called All Our Troubles. And I think I've got this on my website, link below. And it's really cute. And all I have left is to do that single line border the rest of the way around, and it's done. So I got that one. That's next in line to finish up. And this is the one I finished last night. It is Spooky Countdown by The Primitive Hare. I started it, and this was one I actually would take to work last year and do I could do a square at lunchtime in an hour pretty easily. And it's very, very cute. I don't have any in stock right now. I have more on the way, but they're going to go to the show, and then I'll get them listed when I come back. But I stitched this on 40 count. It was probably Flax, Newcastle by Zweigert, which is a great fabric. And I knew I was going to over dye it. And here it is. I over dyed it today. I love it. I love it. It dyed exactly like I wanted it to. And the colors did not bleed. It was DMC. And it's just like 5 or 6 colors of DMC. And I think it's as cute as can be. Down here at the bottom, down here, was a stain of over-dyed threads. What had happened was, and I told this story in another video, but I had plantar fasciitis. I'm falling apart, people. I'm falling apart. Like last January. And I had a bag of projects on the floor. And I was icing my foot, as usual, at night to try to get it to kind of calm down a little bit. And it was a Ziploc baggie. My name brand baggie failed me. Maybe it wasn't Ziploc. Maybe that's why. But anyway, long story short, it was full of ice. I set it on the floor. I went to bed. I came back. Oh, you know what I bet happened is one of the cats did something. But the water leaked out of it into my stitching bag and got I had some over-dyed threads in there that bled. And so they bled all over this piece down on that bottom part. But I dyed this today and all of that came out. I scrubbed on it a little bit with soap and water and it came out. And I was ready to be happy with it if it didn't. This is cute. My favorite part, I asked Steve to see if he could guess what my favorite block was. And it's number 11. That little devil. I like how he's just going, whatever. You know what? I'm gonna go outside for a minute. It just looks like he's done with it, whatever they're talking about. Super cute. I love her designs, and this is the first one of hers that I've stitched. I definitely will do more, and I just love the way the dyeing turned out. Love it. It doesn't smell like anything. Okay, so those are my projects. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about my Stitch With Me. I did a Stitch With Me video last week, and I had asked a couple videos ago if y'all thought you would like me to do a Stitch With Me video. Most of you said yes. Some of you said, please, no, don't do that. I don't like those. But most people seemed, I guess most people who commented seemed like they would be interested. So I did one because I just was like, I kind of like watching them. You don't have to look up that often, and, you know, you get to hang out with somebody, and I like them. But the one, I guess I don't always prefer to be looking at someone's stitching. I like the idea of showing people what it looks like to stitch, but I like to see people. So what I did is I pulled my chair like right up, almost just butt even with my desk here, and filmed me in the chair talking, and people, I got a really favorable response. One person was like, this is a game changer, which I thought was very dramatic, and I really appreciate it. But many people said, I don't like Stitch With Me videos. I loved this format. So maybe it's a format other people might try if they're interested. I like the idea of being able to just be grungy. But you know what? I was in my pajamas. I had no makeup on. I don't put on a show for you guys. I don't usually wear makeup because I don't at home. And so what you see is what you get. This is me most of the time. If I feel like putting makeup on, I'm like, oh, you know, I might put some on. I do it because I want to, not because I have to. So anyway, I did a Stitch With Me video last week. I'm calling them Hang With Me because you wouldn't necessarily need to stitch. Some people said they did some finishing or some ironing or some, you know, other cleaning or other kinds of work. And so just hang with me. I'm going to make another one tomorrow. They're fun to make. They're fun to make and really easy to make. It just takes me pretty much an hour, and then I just edit it really quickly and load it, and it's done. So if you're interested, you know, watch for a few minutes, see if you like it. Okay, I'm getting ready for Galleria, like I said, and I'll put a link below to the Galleria stuff. Let me highlight that too. So it's been really fun to kind of try to think of what to take. And I talked quite a bit about, you know, what it's like to get ready for a show like this in last week's Hang With Me video. But the consumer shows I really like, and here's part of why I really like them. I had a store. In Fargo, I was in 2 different locations, and then I had a location here. So I really have had 3 different stores, like storefronts, and none of them had a ton of walk-in traffic. It was mainly an online business that was in a storefront. I would sometimes have a day go by where not one person came in the store because I was in these small markets. Hattiesburg is not a big community. It's not a big community. So, and Fargo really wasn't. When they have the Nordic Needle and, you know, whatever. And it's fine. It's totally fine. But I always wanted like to have a store where I had cool stuff, not just stitching stuff, but other cool stuff too. And so the Galleria show is kind of an opportunity for me for a weekend to play store where a lot of people come, and it's super fun. So I try to think of like, what can I get? What can I do that's going to set me apart as a vendor at the show? I want my booth to look really inviting and interesting, where it's just kind of like everything is eye candy and it's neatly set up with props and things like that. I'm burning a candle now. I don't burn candles because some people are very sensitive to smells, and it really does bother people. And you can't play music typically because you would need to pay a licensing fee to use music in your booth. But you don't need to because people are talking and laughing and stuff anyway. So I try to think of what can I have, what can I make, what can I do that people are going to want to buy from me because they can only get it from me. I don't want to bring... I bring popular stuff, obviously, but I think there are things that multiple shops may try to bring. And so I try to like look for things that are different and unique. This week I was waiting for my order of linen to dye. I get Zweigart linens to dye with my Wabi Sabi collection. And I had a bunch of new colors this last week, so if you haven't caught it, some of them are really cool. I have like, there's like Rock Salt was one of them, Dolly at the Dump was one of them, Shrinking Violet was another one. It's really fun to come up with the names for those. But I have, like maybe 60 yards of that linen, and then I ordered like another 60 yards to dye in the next week or so. But the ones that I dye this week aren't going to go on the site. They're going to just go in a box to be taken to market, or I'm going to run out. But anyway, I was waiting for this box of linens to come in, and I was like, what else can I dye? So I got some cotton fabrics that I had here, and then I went to the store and bought more. And I dyed these, and I'm calling this these the Sourdough Collection, which has a little, it's kind of an inside secret as to like how I make these, but I'm calling them the Sourdough Collection. And so these are some of the colors. The colors don't get names, and typically I do 1 yard of each color, and then it changes slightly. And so I think they're really pretty, and they look, they have like modeling, and they're very, very pretty. And so I'm selling them for $9, and you get a half yard of cotton, quilting quality fabric that you could use for, really you could even just decorate with these, put them around your stitching room or whatever, but you can use them for smalls, or you can use them to make, like little stuffed animals would be cute, like to make a little rabbit out of it or whatever. But I'm really enjoying that. It's really fun. So that's one thing that's not in my shop. It'll be in Galleria, and then when I come back, it'll be something that I add as something that y'all can buy on the website. One thing that I got a couple weeks ago that I never mentioned, and then I've sold a few but not very many, is I found a source for these primitive scissors. They're really cool. So you maybe have seen these. Oops, they have a little safety on there, but they do work for cutting, but they're really cute for, like decorating, putting in your scissors holder, because they look like old scissors. And so if you go to my website and just type in scissors in the search bar, these are the only scissors I've got online right now. I'm getting some other ones in. I got some yesterday, and those will get added to the website soon. But they come in 3 different sizes, and you can buy, just the size that you like, or you can buy all 3. It's up to you. So I do have those. Then where did I put it? I got in, well, darn it, anyway. I got in some, here it is. Okay. Maggie Banana Me. Maggie Banana Me. I was trying to say her name last week, I think, and I said Bah-nah-mah-nee, because I've never heard anybody say it. But then Saltbox Stitcher last week, or I don't know when, her last video, she talked about how she had taken a class with her, and she said Banana-me. Banana-me. And so the way I remember it is Banana-me, da-dee-da-dee-dee, Bah-nah-mah-nee, ba-dee-dee-dee, Bah-nah-mah-nee. So that's how I remember it. But she has a new book out, and I have an account now with her publisher, and they also publish Yoko Sato, and I have some of her books in too, that they're so pretty. But this is Maggie's brand new book. It's got 17 primitive projects, and they're not necessarily, like huge projects. You can see some of them here on the cover. This little bag is so cute. Look at this little acorn and the pillow, and then here, look on the back. Look at this pea pod thing with the buttons, and I think this is like a needle book where it opens up, and then tomato pin cushions. This book is so cute. I love her style. She has designed for Blackbird Designs before. Here, look at this cute watermelon. I mean, it's really, really a cute book. It's $27.99, and I'm just going to carry stuff like this now because I like it and I can. And so that's her new book, and I've got it. I also, this isn't necessarily like something that's in my shop, but it will be. For the show, I found a distributor for some kind of cool, I would say that they're kind of craft related items. meaning you could work them into displays with your needlework. And those are the huge boxes that I got. I got amazing. People are going to poop their pants. People may poop their pants. Prepare to poop your pants. Wet wipes will be provided. That's terrible. So, like this is one of them. And it's made to look like an old, you know, like what 40s style glass. And it's got the frog top for put your scissors in. Oh, it's cute. And then they sell these little tiny little mason jars. And they're it says mason. And they're little. And then even smaller than that. These are Christmas ornaments, mason jar Christmas ornaments. And I got jingly keys, all kinds of stuff, bags, tea towels, dough bowls. It's pretty cool stuff. Very excited about that. It's a great company, and they were shipped very quickly, and I've been super pleased with the quality. A lot of times with this kind of stuff, you get it and it's like, it's kind of cheap. Really nice, and not terribly expensive. Really, really cute. Okay, that's almost it. If you have orders to place or things that you need, I would ask that you please place your orders as soon as possible, because like I said, I'm getting ready for this show and things are going to start to get really crazy as I kind of round the bend to the last couple days. And so the sooner you get them placed, the quicker I'll be able to get them out. I don't want to have to like try to get, I'm going to start packing stuff up. And so it'll be easier for me if you've got fabric that you need or some charts that you wanted to grab or something to do that now. That just saves me a little bit of work in the long run. The website's going really well. Somebody asked me the other day, how's your website going? Who was it? Just somebody local here. And I was like, really good. I opened in July. So July, August, or was it June? I think it's been 3 months. 3 months ago I opened my website. Yeah, June, July, August. First part of June. First week of June is when so 3 months. And I have people that have ordered a dozen times already. And so I'm super pleased. I got a really nice comment from someone this week that they went to their mailbox and it had been pouring rain. And she said, thank you so much for packing this so nicely. She said everything else got soaked, but everything in the shipment was perfect. I try to put things in plastic bags within your waterproof mailer. I use these bubble wrappers that are waterproof, just because my mailbox leaks, and it's such a bummer when I go out to get my mail and I've ordered something and it gets wet. And sometimes they'll leave it on the step or whatever and it gets wet. I put a piece of cardboard in to protect your charts so they don't get bent. And remember, shipping is a flat $3 in the US. I had somebody email me yesterday and she said, oh my gosh, I just bought a whole bunch of stuff and I feel shipping only was $3. Can you please charge me more? And I was like, no, it's flat $3. I always figure if you're buying more that you start to feel kind of guilty that it's only $3. That's good for me because I sold a bunch of stuff and I'm happy to send it to you. It's just honestly easier for me to have a flat fee than to try to... Otherwise, what you end up doing is it's like, okay, if you spend between this much and this much, this is how much your shipping is. And sometimes that can seem like such a ripoff because let's say you bought a yard of fabric and it was $100 for hand-dyed fabric. That's one item. And it's not that heavy, but it's $100. So I'm going to charge you like $12.95 to ship that? No. $3 is just easy. It's $12 overseas. People in Australia and New Zealand are loving that because shipping over there is expensive. And so they just kind of get all stocked up and it's great. It's great for me. It's great for you. And I like helping you guys get what you want to get. And I love picking things out. Okay, so that's all I've got for this week's StitchyTube. I don't have a chicken update. I didn't get to go out to Jen's this weekend or last weekend. I don't think or the weekend before. We've seen each other, but we've both just been busy. She just started school again. The chickens are doing really well, so I won't do a chicken update, but everybody's fine. The rooster is getting bigger, and she said he's so sweet. So I hope you have a great week, and I will see some of you tomorrow for the Hang With Me video, all right? Bye-bye!